Welcome, guys, to the second episode of the Level X podcast. My name is Jesus.
And this is David.
And yeah, guys, thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, we will be talking about everything that happened in the past week, including the books we read, the adventures we had. So if you're new to the podcast, this is basically where we're helping to guide you basically to a better life, just like your religion. So this episode is actually sponsored by Instant Web Celeb. Now, Instant Web Celeb has been assisting to revolutionize the online social world and has helped countless customers rank higher in status and fame across multiple platforms. Optimize and market your social media page today with Instant Web Celeb. And I believe you can follow them on their Instagram page and Facebook. But aside from that, let's thank them for becoming our first official sponsors. But David, let's just get right into this podcast, man. The people want to know, what book have you read recently, or at least in the past week, and what did you think about it?
Okay. Obviously, if you guys are new to the podcast, we are avid readers here on the Level X. So we definitely basically read a book once a week, and I think that keeps us on track because we review those books here, or not review them, but summarize them.
Right. And we're not getting paid for this, so we're not biased.
But my book that I recently finished, which was last week.
You mentioned it, right?
Yeah, I did mention it, but I finally did finish the book. It was a little difficult read, I'm not going to lie. It was my first psychology book, and it is called A Theory of Everything, an integral vision for business, politics, science, and spirituality. And like, obviously, guys, if you guys are new as well, we also do post all the links down below for all the books that we read. And also, you can follow us on our Twitter, Level X Podcast, on our Twitter. And there, basically, we link you to the books we actually read as well. And we're going to be more on there as well, more on our Twitter. And we're going to be linking you guys to cool videos that we watch and just a bunch of dope shit on there. So definitely, if you're on Twitter and you want to follow someone cool, follow the Level X podcast. But basically, that was a book that I read by Ken Wilber, A Theory of Everything. But what was your book that you read as well?
Well, over the past week, also my book was a little difficult, but it's called Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind by Shinryu Suzuki. Now, if you're not familiar with Zen or Susan, I butchered that, but it's Zuzen. It's almost closely related to Buddhism, but where Buddhism is more of a religion and something you kind of seek to learn, Zen is more of a practice. So it was my first introduction to Zen. I decided to read this because of the title, Beginner's Mind. So it's definitely for someone who wants to learn about what Zen is. Like myself, I was unfamiliar with the term. I had obviously heard it before in my studies, people talking about Zen and how, you can learn to clear your mind with it. So I was definitely intrigued. I wanted to check it out for myself. So I decided to look into this book and read it. It had great reviews, on Goodreads. So yeah, man, I read it. It definitely took longer than expected for me, only because once I started reading it, I was like, it was so much to take in. So it was definitely like one of the tougher books I've read in recent memory. But I mean, I guess I can just dive right into it, man, because the takeaways I got from this book, like I said, first and foremost, it's not a religion; it's more of a practice, and the practice, the way I interpreted it or the way I thought of it, is that you basically do this as a way to clear your mind. People have so much clutter in their mind, and they're always worried about something in the future. But what Zen can help you to do is take life moment by moment, man. And that means, you deal with the problems you have right now. And even then, when you're dealing with problems, you're not really supposed to think of them as problems. You're just supposed to think of them as something that you do or don't do. A lot of people are saying, let's say, for example, me, I'm watching Netflix, right? And I know I had to do schoolwork. there would be a lot of conflict in my mind because I would be watching Netflix, but I wouldn't really be watching it to watch it. I would be watching it as a way to not do my work. And there's a lot of conflict there because in the back of my mind, I'm kind of beating myself up over it. I'm like, I'm doing this, but I should be doing homework. And in Zen, there's not really a should be doing homework. It's either you're doing homework or you're not doing homework. So it's really a way to, remove that inner conflict within yourself. And that's definitely something important in today's society, I believe, only because a lot of people are so unhappy. They're so conflicted. So Zen really works to kind of just calm your mind. The book did describe your mind as, waves just crashing up on each other. So with Zen, it kind of just helps to level those waves out and just have like a smooth, I guess, the best way I can try to like stream, like, just a, basically a calm mind. So the book went into much further detail than that. And like I said, it was definitely a tough read. It was, I want to say it was really dense only because it was kind of abstract for me. A lot of the terms they used, I was really unfamiliar with them. And even the book says, a lot of these terms are going to be unfamiliar to newbies. So, I mean, I would definitely need to reread it again to fully grasp everything. I was trying to just, take everything as best as I could and put my own interpretation upon them.
Okay.
So the book does emphasize the point that, effort is everything mostly. A lot of the times people are hoping to achieve something by doing something. So they use Zen as an example. People do Zen in hopes of obtaining enlightenment. So that's really a bad mentality to go into Zen with. You're not supposed to really seek to get enlightenment. If enlightenment comes, then it comes. But you should just be doing it as a way to kind of, I guess, better yourself. You're not really supposed to seek anything because that's how you get disappointed if you put expectations on anything. So don't put expectations on anything. Don't put expectations on Zen. Just do it as a way to basically further your practice and calm your mind. And even if you don't necessarily calm your mind, as long as you don't really think about it, you'll be doing what you set out to do, man. And, just the book itself, it was, I mean, if we're doing like a rating system, since I had, prior assumptions and, also biases, I didn't really fully invest myself in this book. I didn't really want, because in a way I kind of felt like the book was trying to convert me to Zen and Buddhism. It was talking about all the great things about Buddhism, and then it kept talking about Zen as a practice. So I was like, I'm a Catholic, man, so I don't necessarily think I'm gonna be fully converted to, this, well, at least Buddhism. I mean, I can practice them, but I'm not gonna be converted to Buddhism. So I did have like resistance towards fully investing myself in this book. So okay. In that aspect, I wouldn't rate this book a 5 out of 5, but I would definitely put it as a solid 3.8, 4. I mean, that's
a little high though. That's a little high.
You think so? Well, maybe in the 3s. I definitely wouldn't say it was a 4. It didn't impact me to that level. But I mean, I would definitely recommend this to someone who feels like they have a lot of conflict in their lives, who feels like they're really open-minded, so they're ready to make a solid change. Anyone who has already like prior convictions, I don't think you'll necessarily enjoy this book because there is some kind of, I feel like there's some kind of propaganda in here where they're trying to convert you. But I mean, in any book you read, I feel like you should just take the little gold nuggets that you find and use them to better yourself in that way. So I definitely will take a lot of things from this book. Another key thing that I found in this book, they were talking about parents with children. A lot of the times children come up to their parents and they're talking to them about their about kind of just their beliefs and their dreams. And parents, they have good intentions, but they usually try to like control their kids. They try to guide them in life almost by telling them you should do this or you should do that, when that's really a bad way to go about it. You're not really supposed to try to control anyone. You're supposed to just observe them and let them be. And I mean, I thought that was some great advice, man. You're not supposed to really try to control anyone. Just let them be who they are and kind of just enjoy them for whatever kind of person they are. And I mean, that's just, I thought that was some incredible advice, because I feel like I've had those issues in the past also. So I mean, like I said, man, there's a lot of gold nuggets in here. There's a lot of gold nuggets in almost any book you read, just as long as you really try to see them as that way, as, you know, as good pieces of advice. So just definitely check this book out if you're interested at all. And yeah, man, that's all I really got to say about it.
Sounds like a great book. So definitely check it out. Can you say that title one more time?
It's Zen Mind, Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind, and that's by Shunryu Suzuki. And it's a gray covered book, but like I said, man, like you said, Level X Podcast, the Twitter account, we do post all the information, even the covers of the books on there, so definitely check that out.
Okay. So going into my book. Now, like I said, this was definitely a little bit more of a difficult read, only because it was my first psychology book. Now, by psychology, it's just basically that's how I consider the genre.
Yeah.
It's not, but it's more specifically, I would say about basically, well, the book is about everything, basically, you know, from science to spirituality.
Yeah.
But it's talking more about aspects and views. It talks about a lot of social challenges that we face nowadays, and it talks about psychological development. And I think that's one of the biggest key points that I got from this book was about that psychological development, and how, you know, we are human beings, so we do, all of us, well, we are the most highly intelligent species.
Yeah.
So we do have different things that are kind of like challenges compared to other animals, or the way we develop, you know, and our brain is one of them. And, you know, as we grow older, a lot of people, you know, start getting wiser and start maturing. But a lot of people kind of consider maturing and getting wiser just because they kind of grow up. But it's really their brain, the way that their brain functions, that's actually developing.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of people get wiser. But basically, I think that's what really caught my attention. And I think what I've been doing recently, and I think a lot of people should be doing this, besides taking notes when you're reading, I love when I'm reading a certain topic in a book that kind of relates to the book, but it interests me. So then I go online and I start learning more about that topic.
So can you give an example, like what you mean by
yeah,
that?
so the book basically, like I said, it's basically more of a summary on a lot of scientists and a lot of psychologists, just all types of different people and their theories. So he kind of combines all of them and kind of summarizes them for you. So he's basically summarizing a lot of people's theories for you,
Oh, okay.
and just combining them. But one of the biggest, like I said, psychological development was one of the key points for me. So it talks about more specifically spiral dynamics, and basically Claire Graves, and basically that this type of psychological development, supposedly there's about 7 waves of, or levels. And we talked about this when we kind of introduced the podcast, about why we called it level X. But basically this is actually a psychological model of how we as human beings go through these 7 stages, or try to go to this last stage. But you know, when we're young, we're at stage 1, and then as we start growing older and older, now some people don't get to like the highest stage. You know, some people do stay at like level 3, or wave 3. So different people do stay at different levels, but a lot of people will, you're trying to reach for the top level, obviously.
And did they say like what the top level is, like why people are trying to reach that, or?
Well, it's not it's like, if you get to the top level, you're basically like in the top 1% of the population, because a lot of people can't get there because it's a lot of barriers. It's kind of like telling a young kid, or you know, like a 10-year-old, to that why can't he think like you? It's kind of like the difference between right now, the way you think, and to the way a 10-year-old thinks. And you're like, well, why? You're basically asking, well, why would the 10-year-old want to be where I'm at?
Yeah, right. Okay, that makes sense.
You know, it's gonna take forever for me to actually go through all the waves, and
Yeah.
because it's a big, it's a big topic, and it's a big theory, and it's complex. However, I the way I learned it, like I said, I do go online and I start researching. But there's actually a YouTube channel on YouTube, obviously, called actualize.org. Definitely check them out. He's basically, he's definitely goes into a lot of, like spirituality and enlightenment. So definitely check him out. That's how I learned off of it. But definitely check out the book, guys. Like I said, it is a little complex and it is a little hard to read, but I definitely did enjoy it. I think I actually rated the book like a 3 point something, if I recall. But definitely that's what I've been reading. Now for next week, I have, so at the moment I am reading Elon Musk, Tesla, SpaceX, and the Quest for a Fantastic Future. It's basically Elon Musk's, biography by Ashley Vance. So I am definitely excited to talk about that next week. So next week we are going to be talking about the future. So space.
The future
tech.
is now, man. Pepsi. I'll remove that because I think we're gonna get copyrighted.
But yeah, so after that, let's move on to the next topic of discussion.
All right, guys. When we come back, we will be talking about the latest, the greatest news in the entertainment world, as well as anything else we basically want to talk about, because this is our podcast. So stay tuned, guys. Be right back. Welcome back, guys, to the Level X podcast. If you're tuning in, just fairly, I don't know why you would skip all the way to like minute 20 or whatever, but regardless. This is now segment 2 of the Level X podcast, which is nothing but the latest and greatest in the entertainment world and anything we basically found interesting in the past week. So obviously, first and foremost, man, the thing that was trending all yesterday, I think that's still trending to this day, Kobe Bryant, Mamba Day, and his last game in the NBA. Now, me personally, I'm not a big fan of the NBA, the Los Angeles Lakers. I am a big fan of the NBA, but not of the Lakers, man. Not too fond of that team. But, man, you got to give it up to Kobe. 20-year career. What did you think, David?
Man, I'm a big Lakers fan, as you know.
Really? I didn't know that.
It was a crazy experience last night. I definitely enjoyed watching Kobe. And he's definitely, like my Michael Jordan of my generation. So yeah. I am definitely going to be talking to my kids about Kobe, the great one. But it was overall an amazing career for him. And I just was happy to see that he rode out just by his performance last night.
And what was that performance?
Well, obviously you saw it. 60-point game last night. He did amazing. Yeah. So he actually did win it for his team as well. So definitely something joyful to watch.
Yeah, man. I mean, I came in here. You were yelling at your laptop because you don't watch TV for some reason, but you were yelling at your laptop because Kobe was going off in like those final 2 minutes of that fourth quarter against the Utah Jazz. I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty hype. I actually had to tune in, man, because how could you not tune in to see Kobe's last game? Were you sad when he like just walked off the court?
No, I wasn't necessarily sad. I was more like of a bittersweet feeling, like, okay, he still has it in him, like,
does he though?
A little bit, and then so just letting him walk out was definitely like, okay, like happy, but also at the same time sad, because you never want to see, like your favorite superstar kind of ride out into the sunset.
I know, but I mean, yeah, it's sad, but definitely, man, what a way to do it. 60 points. I mean, it had to be Kobe to do that because, goddamn, he's been an assassin his entire career. But besides Kobe, the NBA playoffs do start this Saturday. Now, obviously, there's going to be a ton of hype for Golden State Warriors. 73 wins, breaking the Bulls, 90s record or whatever. But, they're basically pretty much the favorites, man. No one really expects anyone else to win. But do you have any other picks for the playoffs, or is there a team that you're going to be rooting for? You can't say no one because you got to choose someone.
No, definitely. I am going to choose someone. Deep down, I kind of want actually maybe the Cavaliers a little bit, just because I'm a big after the whole incident with Kyrie, I had to root for the guy. But I actually like the Miami here, or the Boston. I think like I want a young team to win, but not necessarily the Golden State, because I feel like they're like they're not the underdogs anymore. So I feel like I kind of root for the underdogs. So I definitely want to go for like a young team, which I like the Boston Celtics.
Yeah, this is the Zen podcast, man. So you can't be like, you got to choose someone. Who are you going for in the NBA playoffs?
The Spurs in the West Conference, Boston at the East.
All right. I believe in the Spurs. I think they might be able to take out the Warriors. What I want is the Houston Rockets to just sweep the Warriors in the
Yes.
first game, in like the first series. That would be amazing. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, guys. I'm kind of a Golden State hater. I don't like Stephen Curry. I feel like he's a great shooter, but nothing else. I'm rooting for the Cavs in these playoffs, man. Something about LeBron becoming villainized. I mean, that just makes me like him more. I don't know. I feel like he needs to prove everyone wrong. Everyone really doubts his ability, even though he's been like the best player in the NBA for like the past 8 or so years. So I expect him to definitely show up in these playoffs. I don't know what's going on with the Cavs, to be honest. They're over here
They
losing
did
to the
lose,
goddamn
yeah.
Pistons.
Yep.
But just basing it off last year's performance of LeBron in the finals, man, dude was almost averaging 40 points. And Stephen Curry, I don't know what he averaged. Definitely wasn't 40. I don't even think he averaged like 30. He definitely didn't average 30, but he did not win the Finals MVP. So people somehow seem to just like glaze over that fact that Stephen Curry completely like disappeared in the NBA Finals because that guy Della Mendova shut him down. But I expect another repeat of that, man. I don't think Stephen Curry will be a big factor again. I do expect them to make it to the Western Conference Finals, and it's going to be a huge series against the Spurs. In the East, I mean, I don't really expect anyone to give the Cavs any major competition. I don't think the Raptors will even make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, to be honest. But regardless, the Cavs in the finals, I want to say the Spurs, but money. If I had to put money on it, it'll be the Warriors. But of course, in the finals, I will be rooting for LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavs, man.
Oh wow. Oh
Oh
wow.
wow! I mean, I think that's what everyone is expecting, right? I mean, I don't know. I hope the Warriors lose, man. But regardless, moving on to the next topic because we don't have any clean transitions into it. David, we saw.
Because we boss status like that.
Oh yeah, we bossed that. We don't need to ask for permission, man. We just do what we want. This is Zen mentality right here. Just doing it. But everybody wants some. We saw this movie. I think it got its wide release last week. It might not have. It's one of those like little smaller movies with the big director tied to it, man. Richard Linklater.
Yeah.
Boyhood, Dazed and Confused. I'm sure he made other. Oh, he made those before sunset movies, which you're big. Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He did.
Which I'm a big fan, of course.
Yeah, his most recent movie, Everybody Wants Some, which is what he described as spiritual successor to Dazed and Confused. I think they're saying like they're trying to switch it up now, saying it's spiritual successor to Boyhood, but I don't see that. I mean, I guess it could.
Yeah, I definitely see like just the time being a big aspect of it.
Like it went from like. Well, regardless, David, we saw this movie. Let's talk about it, man. What did you think of the movie, and what would you rate it? Well, first, give these people a nice summary of what the movie's about.
Okay, so definitely everybody wants him, like you said. I love the director, and like I was gonna say, I think a lot of his films deal with time. Like I think that's one of the biggest like background topics. So, I think time is a big factor in a lot of his films. So basically, this is, you said it's in the 80s, right?
Yeah, it's in the 80s.
Because the previous one
was in the 70s.
Yeah. So this was in the 80s. And with a lot of his films, a lot of the films don't actually have like a plot to them, but they have an amazing cast. As always, the character development looks amazing, or is amazing. But basically, it's held in the 80s, and the main character, basically, he's going into college. He's a freshman in college, and it's just basically him in that college, living that college life, and it takes place in the aspect of in the range of what, like 3-4 days.
Yeah.
So in those 3-4 days, you basically see this young, and he is a baseball player, so a young college baseball player back in the 80s, and you get to see basically a glimpse of how it was to live in the 80s around that time, being a college man.
But yeah, man, you basically just get to see these guys roam wild. Obviously, it's gonna involve a lot of alcohol. It's gonna involve a lot of girls. But man, that movie was so fun, and I was sick throughout it, guys. So I tried my best to enjoy it. I was over here clutching my stomach about to die or something. But I don't know. Maybe you had a better experience, David. What did you think of the movie overall, and what would you rate it?
My rating for this movie, out of 10, of course, because I like the 10 rating scale. But weird fact about me. No, but I think I rated this like a solid 8, man. Solid 8. So definitely go watch it. Basically a solid 8, or even like a 7 and above is definitely a must watch in the theater for me. But a solid 8. I enjoyed this. Now, what was crazy about this film is that, like I said, it doesn't have no plot, but I enjoyed it so much that I didn't even care. Like, I wanted more of what was happening. It reminded me of Boyhood, even though that movie was long and there was no like plot you can say. There was just people living.
You could almost say the plot is just like life, I guess.
Exactly. And I think this is exactly what that movie is. So yeah, man. So
would you say that people who enjoyed Project X would enjoy this movie?
Yes.
What
yes.
the hell was that?
I'm just getting a little excited just thinking about the movie again. But no, definitely, man. If you're a man, obviously, dude, if you listen to this podcast, go watch the movie. Go support good filmmaking.
Yeah.
Because this movie is for men.
Yeah, I would pretty much say it's for guys, man.
Yeah,
it's just like...
and then when we went, there was a lot of, there were just men there. So definitely go watch it with your boys. You'll enjoy it.
Yeah, man. It's just like you get to see that. I pretty much just
take a couple beers in there.
I take a couple beers in there. Pretty much, man. If you want to see what college was like in the 80s, just go watch this movie, man. It actually inspired you to want to live your youth a little longer, man, or at least live your youth to the fullest with your buddies while you can, man. Because after college, you're gonna live a miserable life and you're gonna hate yourself that you didn't get to live life to the fullest back when you were young. So definitely go watch this movie.
What are you saying, man? What are you saying,
David? Is this movie gonna encourage you to go talk to girls now?
No, but it did leave me getting out of there like feeling super confident, super amazing about life.
It left me feeling a little sick. I threw up after the movie. But when we come back, guys, the moment you guys have all been waiting for, David is gonna chug 2 full glasses of milk while dancing on one foot.
You know how I do.
Don't miss out, guys. We are gonna be back with that as well as some other special topics. So see you guys soon.
You know how I do. What's up, guys? As always, the Level X podcast. This is David. Now, the last segment before we are out of here, and you guys have to wait another week for our amazing voices. But let's get straight into it, man. The last topic or the last subject is about seduction. If you guys don't know,
oh Jesus!
If you guys don't know about this subject, it is controversial all throughout the internet. But for men, it shouldn't be controversial. Basically, this topic is, as you guys know, me and Jesus, we're men, so obviously we love women. But this is more about, becoming more social, meeting more people, basically to improving our social lives.
Yeah.
So we, throughout the week, we also go out and basically try to talk to women and see how we can improve our social skills when it comes to seduction or even making friends.
Pretty much, you ain't gonna make friends if you ain't talking to people, man.
Exactly.
And you ain't gonna live the lifestyle you want if you don't go out there and take it for yourself.
Exactly.
If you don't grab it out there, you're gonna fail. But yeah, man, just like David said, we're out there in the wilderness, fighting with the lions, fighting to get our piece of meat.
What the fuck?
No, man, but in all seriousness, yeah, we're out there just trying to talk to girls. And David, what are your experiences so far, my brother?
For the last week, well, last week, unfortunately, we were out of action because of
You got
schoolwork.
sick, and
Yeah,
then
I
you
got
got
sick.
sick.
You got sick too.
Yeah.
But then this week we're like, all right, man, like, let's not bitch out and let's just go do it. Cause like I said, guys, we are still big in the beginner stage. We're growing as you guys are growing. Hopefully, just showing you guys that through action, you guys can achieve a lot.
The key thing here, guys, before we get into our own experiences, you got to stay consistent with this because we were on a roll for like a solid week. And then for like 2 weeks, we didn't do anything. Like, I don't know what the hell happened. We completely lost our mojo. A lot of that is attributed to fear. I mean, we had legitimate things to do, but at the end of the day, those are just excuses because that's something you must do every day. At least if you want to, improve your social skills, you got to do it every single day. You got to stay consistent. So consistency is key in this area of life, pretty much, especially if you're trying to like be one of the best. So I apologize for that interruption, David. Continue.
No, so I think it was Tuesday then, and I think I only approached one girl at the time.
Yeah.
I think. Well, actually, I did, because we go out with some buddies, and then they're a little bit better when it comes to like seduction. So I think one of the biggest keys is also surround yourself around people that love doing exactly the things that you love doing.
Yeah. Those guys that you always thought were like kind of douchebags in high school, or let's say you are in high school and you think those guys are douchebags. Those guys are actually the ones getting the girls, man. So if you want to get the girls, you gotta somehow befriend those guys. I mean, a lot of the guys above you
is the only way.
Are always down to give you advice for some reason. So I mean, just asking for advice. Most guys are actually just, dude, we're all dudes. So I mean, guys are chill. I mean, as long as you're not like a fucking weirdo or some shit, like you're gonna be chill. Just be chill back. And I mean, that's how pretty much you make guy friends. I don't think guys are assholes necessarily. So yeah, definitely, if you're trying to improve your social skills, get with other guys who also like talking to girls, man.
Exactly. So then what I think I was just doing like little challenges, going with to a bunch of girls and just either asking for the time, just small talk stuff.
And is that to warm you up or?
Yeah, because at the time, like I said, we were out of action for a while, so we weren't talking to any girls.
Mm-hmm.
We were just doing pure schoolwork.
Yeah.
And so that kills your rhythm and that kills your momentum. So I think that's one of the easiest things for me, just going out and just asking either for your time or for certain things, just little small challenges to get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
But my main
interaction
was, and this is like a little bit towards the night already.
Yeah.
But it was this blonde chick. Man, and then here in Arizona, I don't know with you guys, but basically I'm not like the tallest guy ever, so so usually, but my type, well, not necessarily my type, but I am definitely attracted to blonde girls or blonde chicks, and then so usually they're a little bit tall, but fuck it, I don't really care. So I just go for it.
Yeah.
But this blonde chick, yeah, obviously super slim, little, well, not slim, but over here in Arizona, man, they're like slim but thick at the same time. It's crazy that their thighs, man. But anyways, so I approach, and a lot of people here, like, especially girls, when they're walking alone, they have headphones.
Yeah.
So, mind you, and we game at our campus, so she had headphones on. So then I kind of like walk right beside her, and I kind of turn to her, and I kind of like project my voice a little bit. So I think that's definitely a good thing that I did. Yeah. And I was just like, hey, and she like turned around, and basically I was like, are you listening to Tupac? And then I kind of like smile, but she kind of had her headphones, so she kind of takes like the left one out, and she's like, excuse me? And then I was like, oh, are you listening to Tupac? And then she's like, oh no, I'm not listening to anything yet. And then from there, I think that's where I fucked up, because I didn't really state my intentions. I like being like direct up front. Just I think that works better for me.
Yeah, at least now that we're like newbies or whatever,
Yeah, well, for me, I like going. I don't know, but this time I went indirect, so I was like, "Oh yeah, well, I just saw you, and I was walking straight, like straight. I don't know my campus either, so I don't know what like buildings are
Yeah.
called. And I was just like, I'm going straight. So it's a little dark out here. It's a little dangerous, so I didn't want to walk alone.
Yeah.
But she didn't. I don't think she kind of got the joke, or maybe she wasn't into it right away. Because I don't think she necessarily smiled. She was just like, "Oh, okay." So then after that, we're just walking and kind of talking, and straight off the bat, like she wasn't giving me anything, like, and I think that's why like the interaction was horrible because throughout the conversation, I was just pure asking fucking
Question.
questions, like question after question after question. So
And
it
they
was,
they call that interview mode.
yeah, well, I don't know what people call it, but it was interview mode. Yeah, exactly. Just asking pure question after question after question.
Yeah.
So straight off the bat, it was a bad interaction, but it was hard for me because it was nothing to work with, and in those situations, it's kind of horrible to be in it, but it does give you a reference point. So regardless if the interaction goes well or not, it's always a good thing. So you got to get the good things out of every interaction. So from there, I already knew. I was like, okay, I can't be in interview mode. My next interaction, and I just started to jot it down what I did wrong, and then obviously it was a little dark as well. So I mean, probably approaching at nighttime, it's a little, it comes off that like creepy vibe. Maybe I don't know. That's the way I thought maybe, but also being in your head like that, or yeah, it's not good. But what about yours, man?
Well, pretty much that day, Tuesday. I mean, I went with one of my guys, and he's actually a Chinese guy. So
Asian? He is Chinese.
he's Chinese, yeah. And like we were out there just like, well, first of all, in the nighttime, there's like not a lot of girls walking around campus. But when we did see someone, it was actually a Chinese girl. So he told me, "Here, go tell her I love you in Chinese." Which is I don't know, dude. I already forgot, to be honest. But pretty much like I went. Well, he pulled her in. He brought her in. He's like, "Hey, my American friend wants to tell you something." So I tell her that. And then obviously she's gonna be like, "What?" Because she was like shocked that I would tell her that. I love you. So she's like, "Do you know what that means?" I said no, I didn't, just to like start joking around. But he was like 2 feet away, so like after I said no, he like said, "Oh my god!" So then he started talking to her, and that was like the only interaction I had for a while. Cause I was pussing out, man. Like I saw some cute girls, but I was being a bitch about it, so I didn't approach anything. I don't know. After a while, like if you don't do it for a while, you the fear starts coming back, especially for like me.
And it starts overpowering you.
It starts overpowering you pretty much, yeah. So you're like, like I guess I just started doubting the process. I'm like, this is stupid. Like no girl's gonna be receptive or whatever. So even then, that's already starting off on the wrong foot, because pretty much into I stayed in that like headspace like for a while. So I actually had some schoolwork later that day. So even then, I was using that as an excuse. Like, I need to get out of here. I need to go do schoolwork. So I wasn't really fully invested in the pickup. But eventually, man, like I met up with you, and we started walking. And then all of a sudden, you just tell me, like, not to like go approach, like hurry. So, because I guess later in the night, you had told me, yeah, like I saw that you were bitching out, so I knew you weren't gonna. Because I told you, like, yeah, man, like 5 more minutes of this and we're leaving, or something like that.
You did tell me that.
And then that's when, like, the next girl you saw, I mean, I didn't even verify that she was cute or anything. You were like, "Oh, her, go." And then we were with like our homies, so I wasn't gonna be a bitch in front of them. I can be a bitch in front of you, but not in front of them. So I went up to them. I went up to her, and like you said, they are wearing headphones. So I just like tap her on the back of her arm, like, because that's a little technique I learned. Like, just tap them, and then like stay like 2 feet away. So when they turn, like you're not like you don't like they don't bump into you immediately. Like she was like frightened or whatever, because she like jumped up a little bit, like, oh shit, like who just touched me? But I just laughed it off. I actually just made something up because I saw that her backpack was open. I was like, "Oh, your backpack is open. I just wanted to tell you that you should close it, or else like some mugger is gonna come and like steal your shit." And then she's like, "Oh, thanks." And then like on the spot, I just saw that she had a Germany shirt on, like the soccer team Germany. So I was like, "Oh, Germany? Like soccer? And she's like, yeah, I came from a family of soccer or whatever.
Okay.
So I went in direct also. So after that, like, she starts telling me about her soccer background or whatever. So pretty much, like, I didn't really state my intent, which for me, I guess the intent is always just to get a number. So I don't know. I wasn't really building attraction in any kind of way. I was morely just like having a conversation with her right off the bat. I mean, I it's just like a normal conversation. I end up walking her to her dorm, but throughout the interaction, you know, I'm just kind of picking on her, like, because she was short. So I said, oh, you're pretty short. Like, she was telling me about like she plays, like, she's in the band or something. So pretty much, I mean, an average conversation. I would say, like, I wasn't really in interview mode. She was like talking. She was really receptive. But I mean, like, eventually she brought up that she had a boyfriend because she said that her boyfriend hates doing squats. And I was like, oh, because I brought up that I hate doing squats. She's like, oh, you sound just like my boyfriend. So I don't know. When she said that, I was like, like, it's not even worth it. Like, I shouldn't even try to get the number. So I walk her pretty much to, like, her door of her dorm. But I just said, like, later, like, all right, it was nice meeting you, and that's it. Like if I feel like the interaction isn't going that great, I like never ask for the number because I feel like why? I guess I'm afraid of the rejection. So I'm like, she's probably not gonna give it to me. So I mean, it wasn't really a great interaction. It was definitely a solid conversation, but I feel like there's a difference between solid conversation and knowing when a girl is kind of into you. I think this girl, she had a boyfriend, so that's why she wasn't really like giving me like that vibe.
Okay.
But regardless, man, it was just good for me necessarily getting back into the rhythm of things, getting back into like, all right, stop being so scared of like approaching. You know, girls are pretty nice most of the time, and as long as you bring a decent, like a solid vibe, then girls are gonna be receptive. So even though it was nighttime, man, I still walked her. It was kind of dark, but I felt like she was pretty comfortable around me because I presented myself as a friendly dude. So yeah, pretty much throughout the conversation, I actually did run out of things to say, so we were walking in silence. But the thing is to, like, I mean, be okay with like the silence. Like, don't try to force the conversation. Like, just I was walking in silence for like 5 seconds, but I wasn't really making a big deal out of it. Eventually, I was just like, I just pointed out like some random blinking light in the sky. I think it was like some construction things. I was like, oh, that's a weird light. And then that led us into another conversation about them building dorms in our campus or whatever. But I mean, that was actually my only interaction of that night. Like, it took me like 2 hours to do it, but I mean, I feel like just as long as I did it, like, I was satisfied. Like, I knew as long as I get back to my rhythm, like, I'll start seeing the results soon. Which, I mean, if you want to briefly describe yesterday, which was Wednesday, you had another interaction, and this one went way better.
No, definitely. This one was way better. So, and I don't know. It was this. She was a cute Asian chick, and then she was just, I guess, eating by herself somewhere, or she was just eating there, on campus, and I just kind of like approach her, and it's kind of this. I approach her in this funny like opener, and the opener isn't necessarily like important. It's just kind of like the way you say it. I know it's kind of sounds hella cliche, but I think it's kind of true. You just have to go out there and try, man. You got to try all these things that we kind of. You guys don't have to try exactly what we do or what we say, but at least try something. I think that's what the most important thing is, to try something. Anyways, so then I go up to her and I was like, so is this the English 101 meetup?
Yeah.
And then she kind of looks up and she kind of like looks a little like lost. She's like, oh, no. Like, she was basically telling me, no, that wasn't it. And then that's when I was like, oh, no, I was just playing. I thought you were cute. See, like, I just went direct, man. I just went direct. So I was like, I just thought you were cute, so I had to come say hi. And then she was like, oh, thank you. And she was like all flattered and shit. So then I kind of sit down because she was sitting down. So I just sit down and we just have a full on blown out conversation. It's basically like we were on a date, but it looked at her like her food was already on the table. So basically we were just chatting it up, talking about, like I said, she is Asian. So she was talking about how she came from China when she was like 16. And like for some weird reason, I kind of find it a little like attractive. I find it cute, like when they have like some like accents and shit. Like, cause there's a lot of foreign chicks at like our university, So this girl, we were just chatting it up, and we're just being playful, just talking, regular stuff. But my main objective was trying to get her on an Insta date. What an Insta date is basically you just go approach like a random stranger or whatever, and then you talk her up, and then eventually, lead her to like a new location, whether it's like an actual date or just walking or basically yeah, like trying to take her on to like a date then and there. Because a lot of like my mentor told me like a lot of the majority of guys usually go up to a girl expecting like a number, but if you're free and she's free, why wouldn't you want to keep hanging out with her?
Yeah.
Like in her head, she's like, okay, well, I'm right here not doing anything, but you came over here just to get a number when you can kind of just hang out with me.
Right, because I mean that number is basically just so you can text her and hang out with her eventually. So.
Again,
Yeah.
So then that's the way I kind of looked at it. So I was like, all right. So then that's when I kind of was like, all right, well, my main objective, is to get the instant date. Mind you, I thought I was already in an instant date, but still, like my mentor wanted me to get on an instant date, meaning lead her somewhere else. So then that's when I just kind of like get up a little bit, and I was like, hey, well, I'm gonna go for a walk. I think that's where I fucked up in. Also, is because a walk isn't necessarily. It doesn't sound cool or whatever. It doesn't sound like an actual instant date. It sounds more like a walk. Okay. Yeah. So I was like, hey, I'm going for a walk. Do you you should come with me. You should come with. And then she was like, I actually had to study tomorrow. So in my head, I was like, fuck, like, why? I'm not gonna flop. So then that's when I kind of asked for her number, and she was like, okay, like, I was like, yeah, we can do this again. And she was like, okay. So then that's when I got her number, and that was my first actual like real number that I got like by approaching like a random stranger, So then I got her number, texted her, so hopefully we have something set up. So if anything does happen from that interaction, I will update you guys next week.
And damn, Lord David coming in clutch, coming back from his quest with the number.
What about you, man?
Well, pretty much we gotta wrap up soon, but I'll give you guys a quick like detailing of what my experience was like on Wednesday. I did 3 interactions, and they actually got progressively better. The first one, instant blowout. I went up to her. She was waiting like in some grassy area. I don't know for what, but since she was standing there, my friends told me to go approach. So I went up to her. I was like, I made a joke because I don't know, just joking around gets me into like the whole, like gets me kind of comfortable. So I was like, oh, hey, the bus stop is like over there, and I pointed across the street. Surprisingly, there was a bus actually like, going there to pick some people up. But anyways, I went up like, oh yeah, the bus stop is actually over there. She's like, oh, I'm waiting for my ride actually just got here, and right then and there, like some dude pulled up in a car to pick her up. So it was like totally awkward since it was my first interaction, complete blowout. So I didn't even like say bye or anything. I was like, all right then. Like, I don't know what I don't.
You were just walking
basically,
away.
I was just like, oh, okay then. Yeah, pretty much walk of shame. So that was pretty awful. Like I said, my approaches got progressively better. So after that disaster, I walked around for a bit. And actually, I saw a girl, and I went to go up to her. She was like a distance away, so I had to like speed up a little bit. But that's when you guys saw me, and you guys like encouraged me to go after her. And we'll get right there into that. Like, I basically had to like speed walk all the way over to her, and I came up to her, and I think I just said like, "Hey, how are you doing?" or something like that. And she's like, "Oh, good." And I was like, "I'm actually walking this way, but I figured I might as well just walk with you because these are dangerous streets out here." So
stealing my line from the previous night,
even stealing David's line, I thought it was a solid line. But yeah, man, she was. Now that I think about it, she was actually pretty receptive. I just didn't play the game very well. She was giving me like solid answers, but the whole like dynamic of the interaction was fucked up because throughout the whole thing, it totally looked like I was chasing her. Like the fact that she was walking pretty fast, so I had to keep up with her.
But you didn't actually run. I saw you.
No,
were just like walking all weird.
I was actually walking not to her, but with her. Like she was walking fast. and I had to basically pretty much keep up. So even the whole dynamic was off, it felt like throughout the whole interaction I was chasing her,
and she was leading.
Well, she was pretty much just walking the walk, so I had to kind of like keep her invested in the conversation. In my eyes, I just kept asking her questions to keep the conversation going. Eventually, that got stale because I can tell she was like giving me shorter and shorter answers each time. So it was like all screwed up, and I knew it. Well, in my eyes, I thought it wasn't going very well. So again, I like refused to ask for the number. Like I just split off with her eventually because like I said, I just kept asking her questions. There wasn't really a solid connection there, so I eventually just like, oh, well, I'm going this way. I'll see you later. And I just shook her hand, and then I just like walked off. So it was, I mean, overall, it was like better than my last interaction, but it wasn't good. So, I didn't ask for the number because, like I said, I don't do that when I don't feel it's going good. But then, lastly, I met up with you guys, and you guys gave me some pointers. First one being the when I walked up to her, it looked like I was like a little bull, just like with my head, like basically like a bull charging at someone. Like it was kind of weird. Like I probably went in there too intensely. Like I wasn't natural. I wasn't really chill about it. Like you got to just kind of be like loose, and I wasn't very loose at all. So you guys are, bringing in the good energy. Also stop mumbling so much because I have like a mumbling problem. So enunciate my words. And then lastly, don't interview her. So final interaction of the day. I saw this girl. You actually told me to approach her, so I went up to her. So I try to like put my shoulders back, head back, like try not to be like a bull again. So I just went up to her and I joked around like, hey, I was like, hey. She's like, hey. I was like, how are you? I think I said, how are you again? She's like, good. And I was like, I came up to you because you like your red Vans. I used to actually have some like those. But then this girl came up to me and stole them from me. And she's like, oh, yeah? And I was like, yeah. She was smiling at this point, I think. So I was like, yeah, she actually had like blue jeans on, like a black shirt. And then she was like yay tall. So pretty much all those described what she was like, her height, what she was wearing. So she immediately caught on to that and she started laughing. And like I said, man, I just try to go in there with like a natural vibe, like, just kind of laid back. And I wasn't interviewing her necessarily. Like she was very receptive. I'm not sure if it was because of the energy I projected or it was because she was just like a friendly person. So immediately it went well. And then when I feel it's going well, like, I don't know, my energy comes up. Like I'm like, all right, like this is good.
Yeah.
So, I actually walked her to some dorm also. But this time, since it's going so well, like I have her laughing. I'm being kind of cocky and funny. Like this one line, she was just like, oh, so what do you do? Like, on my free time, I was like, I'm not sure if this is like a good line, but it just felt right. I was like, I just walk cute girls to their dorm rooms. And she started laughing. She's like, oh, this isn't actually my dorm room. And I was like, oh, well, whose dorm is it? And she's like, my friend. I was like, oh, wow. Introducing me to your friend already? That's kind of quick, but all right, I'll go for it. These are the moments I live for. And then she started laughing again.
Mind you, like the way like we're describing it probably is because we're describing it like oh these guys are good, or maybe you're listening to Jesus and he's like, oh damn, that guy sounds pretty good. I feel like even though it's way better than being like where we were at in the beginning, I don't think it's
not good by any means.
Yeah, like I feel like maybe the way he's saying it is like super relaxed right here. I'm not saying maybe you were saying it all relaxed and chill. But I know, like, with me, sometimes when I am talking or in the conversation, there's still this, like, little bit of nervousness behind my voice a little bit. So it's just, I don't know if like, that's also how you sound when you're talking.
Well, you could just never know. I thought I sounded pretty confident about it. I definitely had to deliver those lines with confidence. So that's what I was definitely trying to, like, give out. But she was laughing, so I'm assuming she took it pretty well. I mean, we had a pretty solid interaction, man, and it was, like, she actually asked me questions, so I can tell she was invested also.
Okay.
So it was just great overall. I actually did ask for the number, obviously this time I had to. So I asked for a number, she gave it to me. And it went pretty good, man. I was like, oh, this was actually probably one of my best interactions. This far. So later in the night, I actually texted her. It turns out she actually gave me the wrong, like, I think she gave me a fake number or something, man. I thought it went well, but she apparently gave me a fake number or something because I texted someone who knows. She's like, oh, I think you got the wrong number. I was like, damn. But that's pretty much what you got to do, man. You just got to play your cards and see if you end up taking the jackpot. So, that's the way the game goes. But like I said, man, last week when I reviewed Tyler Durden's classic post, just do one more interaction every day, man. Because look, if I would have stopped at that second girl, I would have been like, shit, I lucked out again, like no number. But one more interaction is all it took for me to get a number. Granted, it was a fake number, but I mean, in that kind of, like, just a reference experience, man. You gotta get more
And
reference
plus,
experience.
I almost mean you also kind of had fun just talking to her.
No, it was definitely fun. I mean, it helped me loosen up, and it helped me like implement those tips that you and your mentor gave me. So it was definitely awesome, man. Just all it takes is one more. You just never know what happens when you do one more approach. So definitely encourage you guys to go out and test your waters. Like I said, read that Tyler Durden's classic post. Follow us on Twitter to get that link, and I mean, just start using those tips that he gives you, and that's all it'll take.
Yeah, man. And then, I mean, this is barely episode 2, so we're obviously going to be improving just on our time frame, on just everything else. But big thank you guys to all you guys that are viewing this, that are listening to this, that are basically showing love, man. I love you guys.
Whoa, David.
I love you guys. We're going to go out right now and approach more women. So definitely check us out on our Twitter. Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes. Just spread the news. If you guys are liking this, click that like button. If you guys don't, we're obviously going to be coming up with more improvements as we go along. Mm-hmm. And also, thank you guys. Thank you to our sponsors, Instant Web Celeb. Definitely check them out, instantwebceleb.com. We will see you guys next week.
Hey, guys. If you like this episode of the Level X podcast, make sure to definitely leave a review. We are on iTunes, we are on SoundCloud, and we are on YouTube. You just search up Level X podcast, and also leave a comment if you are on YouTube on what you liked, what you think we can improve on, anything you would like us to talk about. Also, if you have any questions, please email us at levelxpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll be sure to respond to you or even answer it on the show. Follow us on Instagram at Vincent Studios, VNCT Studios, for any updates. Also on Twitter at LevelX Podcast. We will definitely be posting on there, also responding to questions and any comments you guys might have. We will also be posting the books we talked about on this episode of the Level X Podcast on Twitter. We'll be posting the links on where you can purchase those books. So definitely check us out there. And thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you guys next week.